Jenna or are you a theist?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Oh, okay, you're a Christian. Like what kind of Christian? What are we talking?
I'm
Catholic?
Reformed.
What's that?
Reformed.
Reformed. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what.
Well, I was a Calvinist.
Oh, you're a Calvinist.
Yes, sir.
Wow, interesting. I used to be a Calvinist. Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Well, to me it made the most sense.
You proclaim to be a Calvinist according to my worldview.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I did proclaim to be. I mean, that's what made sense to me at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a theist anymore, but what? Because of Romans 9, is that what it is?
Yeah, right. You're familiar with it? Yeah, Romans chapter 9.
Yep.
That's one of the main scriptures: Romans 9, Ephesians 1, John 6.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got more. Interesting. So, what do you think about like determinists? Because I always feel like Calvinists are basically determinists, but like Christian ones.
Well, we still believe man has a will. Unfortunately, that will is just a sin. A determinist will say man doesn't have a will. We still believe that God is not putting a gun behind, pew behind anyone's back, telling them to commit sin or to do certain acts. That's just the will of man. It's captive by sin. Okay, interesting. So you're saying that people have free will, yet God creates them knowing that they're not going to go to heaven and lets them go to hell anyway. Well, I didn't use the word free will. I believe their will. They still have a will. It's not free. I don't believe any Christian ultimately believes in free will. They obviously can't fly. If their will was to fly, they're still bound by this world, the physics and logic. So obviously they can't fly. So not any person has free will, but they do have a will. Unfortunately, like I said, that will is bounded by sin, so they're always going to choose that stuff in that sense. Wait, you don't have free will if you can't decide to fly and actually fly? I thought that free will had... By definition, free will means you could do anything you want, right? So if somebody has a desire to jump off a building later today because they want to fly, obviously their will is not free to choose to fly. They still have to follow logic. They still have to follow physics and biology. You're saying like that's such an odd thing to say. I've never heard it put that way. Because you could have the will to... I believe only God has free will. I believe he could do whatever he wants. He could send us all to hell. He could send us all to heaven. He could all give us wings right now. If God wanted to, he could fly at any time. If God wanted to, he could become a man. He could do whatever he wants. That's my definition of free will. So your free will is omnipotence. That's omnipotence. All powerful. Yeah, that's not what anybody means when they talk about free will, man. That's what I'm talking about, free will. I mean, the definition of free will is basically what you were talking, all powerful, all knowing. Let's see what that is. Do whatever you want. No, that's omnipotence. Free will is you having the ability. What's that? Is it okay to call you Punk? I don't want. Yeah, that's fine. I'm Brentley, but yeah, you can call me Punky too. Okay. That works. Free will. The gentleman before was asking like, do you know? Do you not know? When he was using words like that and words like truth. What's your definition of truth? That which comports with reality. Okay, wow, we have the same definition. Okay. Yeah. I get. You might have heard this argument before. How do you know that this reality is true? How do I know that this reality is true? Like what reality? Just all reality? How do I know I'm not like a brain in a vat? Reality, right. Well, what was that last sentence? I'm sorry. How do I know I'm not like just a brain in a vat? Is that what you're saying? Okay, so you're familiar with the argument, right? How do you know that? Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the basis of epistemology. Yeah, you start from because I think what you're talking about is absolute certainty, right? Like what can we be absolutely certain of? Yeah, and I don't think that you can be absolutely certain of just about anything, but we have different reasons to think things are true because of evidence, and I can point to the different kinds of evidence.
Do you know? Did you get baptized with the Holy Ghost?
Did I?
No, I'm a Baptist. No, I don't believe that.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
So Punk, when you say that there's certain evidences, what I asked you was, how do you know that this reality is true? Are you saying, you probably know the argument, are you saying you appeal to your senses to study those evidences, or?
Yeah, I appeal to my senses. Kind of have to.
Okay.
We all do, right? I mean, that's just a
Okay,
fact.
so how do you know your senses are valid?
How do I know my senses are valid? I mean, I have basically this. If I feel like you're going down the PRESUP direction.
Oh, it definitely is. Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, but if you're asking
I'm
about my
happy you know where
epistemology,
I'm
I
going.
use.
I just wish you could explain. You could explain your position, though.
Okay, so you know how a courtroom works? You know how juries.
What's that?
You know how a courtroom works?
Yeah, I've been in a couple.
Okay, so you know that it's like whatever. I don't know exactly what the foundation of reality, all that. Like, I don't know what words to describe it, but basically the same rules that would apply to a courtroom. What's the epistemology for a courtroom? Like, because you can have multiple religions, like people in a court in a jury, right? But they all come to the same verdict, right?
Right.
Okay,
Based upon evidence.
Right, based upon evidence. And so that would be my epistemology, would be in that realm, like where, you know, being able to articulate it specifically, I probably couldn't do it. And that seems to be what PRESUP's left to do, is just, you know, try to get you to articulate stuff that's damn near impossible to articulate.
How do you determine your senses are valid?
How do I determine that my senses are valid?
Right.
By, you know, I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly the way that you want me to answer it. How do, like, it could be the case that I'm dreaming, right? Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
This just feels like so in the realm of not reality. Like these kinds of questions just don't really mean anything.
So asking you, how do you know that your senses are valid, is not a realistic question?
Well, if you're basically saying, like, how do you know anything? You know, there's an entire branch of philosophy to answer like this question, and you want me to put it in like a couple sentences of an explanation?
Well, no, not a couple sentences. Just like, how do you know that something is real? I mean, I liked your definition on what is truth, that which corresponds to reality. Then I asked you, how do you know this reality is true? You appeal to your senses, and now I'm asking you, how do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know why you're asking me so many questions. The prompt says, why should I believe your God exists?
Yeah.
So why do I shouldn't be answering
God,
these kinds of questions.
Yeah. So to answer the question of the prompt, without God, you can't know truth. You can't know anything.
Okay,
so
now do a syllogism that leads to that as the conclusion.
What's that?
Now put it in a syllogism that leads that to the conclusion, because like you're just claiming that is the
case. I mentioned it 2 seconds ago when I said, if your definition of truth is that which corresponds to reality, but yet you can't determine if reality is true, therefore you can't know truth, and therefore your worldview is left to absurdity. You're just basically truth is. Just
I have the same, like I said, like a courtroom. You're like, how would this work in a courtroom, man? Let me ask you. Like, if somebody said, "Did this person actually hurt this other person?" and I go, "What is truth? Well, how do you know it corresponds with reality?" If you get no, man, this would just be thrown out. You'd be like, "What are you even talking about?"
We both agreed that in a courtroom, evidence is a pretty big part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But here you are, when I ask you what is evidence, you have no explanation. So, I mean,
what is evidence? That which makes something evident.
So,
like something evidently true.
Does truth presuppose evidence?
I don't know. I don't understand. Can you rephrase
can have
that?
False evidence in a courtroom?
Yeah, people can be wrong.
But then that wouldn't make it evidence. But it would have been thrown out.
Right. That's why we have courtrooms and stuff, because this isn't as simple as this is why.
So doesn't truth presuppose evidence?
Does truth presuppose evidence? I
think
in
order, if I was to present,
say, like the weirdest
hey, I found a knife of a poking smurder, and I present it, wouldn't that mean wouldn't that be a true statement that here's the knife? It's right here.
Okay.
Okay, so truth presupposes evidence. But when I ask you about truth, it's like it becomes a meaningless word. You want evidence, but yet we can't even define what truth is. I
already defined what truth is. That which comports with reality. The evidence is what allows us to. Because here's the difference that I think maybe we're like getting gummed up on. There is, as far as I can tell, and I think, like I said, the courtroom would presuppose this as well, is that there is an objective reality, but our ability to access that is limited, We're not omniscient, and we can't like know everything.
I'm sorry, you broke up that last statement. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would say that reality there is an objective reality, but our ability to observe that objective reality is where things like evidence and whatnot comes in.
Okay, so then you can't know what reality is. If truth is that which corresponds to reality, and you're telling me you can't demonstrate that this reality is true, therefore truth is a nonsense word.
This is what I'm saying. This is such a useless conversation to have, dude. Like, do you have actual evidence for your God? This is what they have to do when they don't have evidence for God.
Presupposes truth.
You have to like play games like this.
Your question proves that there is a God, because evidence presupposes truth. But when I ask you what is truth, it's a nonsense word. You can't even know if you're not a brain in a vat at this point. If
nobody can, dude. Like, this is what I'm saying. You just say God is the answer to the problem of knowledge in epistemology. That everybody has to answer. Just you pretending that you have a magical answer to that question that we all have doesn't get you out of it, man.
Punk, it's a way out of the vicious circle.
Yeah, but it's just a magical made up thing. You're taking my honesty about.
Yeah, but when you use the word magical and made up, you're appealing to some sort of truth. You're appealing as if there's truth, there's false, there's magical, there's reality. But yet, when I ask you what reality is, you don't have. You can't.
Like the most
you can't
useless
demonstrate
conversation.
that you're in the right reality. It's like going and just give me 2 minutes and then I'll be out of here.
Dude, would this work in a courtroom? This is why I'm saying, like, that's why I bring up courtrooms, because this is so silly. You're just like, well, nobody can know if anything's true, actually. In the courtroom, the judge will be like, would you shut up, man? This is completely useless. Okay, do you have evidence that something is true or not?
It seems like you're just freaking out yet because you can't determine what reality is. Appreciate your time.
I already decided. I already said what reality is. Okay. Good. Cool. It's like these presups show up, and that's all they can do. And it's like, I literally have the prompt in such a way so that that they need to demonstrate, or they need to provide evidence of their beliefs. And they always have to like question you and try to get me to articulate the answer to all knowledge.